Today, I wanted to share something that's a bit more personal. And it's one of those things that I've just struggled with for a while until I recently, probably within the last year or two, realized that it's okay. And I am built this way. And this is a winning strategy or it's a winning outcome for me. And this has to do with the aesthetics of my body. So that's why this feels a little bit more personal to me. I've always felt fat. I mean, I've shared about this on Instagram before. I have felt like this since I was probably 10 years old. And I don't know where it came from or why. I look at pictures of me as a kid. I'm not a fat kid. And in fact, I was a gymnast when I was in 6th and 7th grade through around 9th or 10th grade. And I was essentially malnourished. I grew up fairly poor, so we didn't have a lot of food, and nutrition was not anything I really knew about at the time. I was obviously too young. So, I was just underweight, probably. In fact, funny thing, I actually didn't go through a growth spurt during my teenage years until after I was done with gymnastics and I got a job at a fast food restaurant of all things. And I started eating enough food every day and I grew like 6 inches. Crazy, but all that to say, I have always felt fat. I've always felt thick. I've always felt really round. And there's pictures of me, before I started CrossFit, and you can see I've got, a little layer of fat. I'm not huge, but I've got a little layer of fat. And all that time during my 20s and 30s, I worked really, really hard, or at least I thought I was working hard to try to just not end up like super obese. I ran, I jogged. I would go through these spurts where I would run like 20 miles a week and then not for a few months. And then I would kind of go back to that, all the while not eating very well. I've shared that story. And if you don't know any of those stories, you can look through my YouTube videos. I've got all that there. But what I want to talk about today is my internal battle between aesthetics and looking absolutely great and performance. And I have found for me, there is a difference for me between being where I want to be aesthetically in my body and where I want to be to perform at my very best. Stay hydrated without the sugar and junk found in popular sports drinks. LMNT is a zero-sugar electrolyte drink mix that delivers a powerful dose of electrolytes, perfect for athletes, those fasting, or anyone looking to optimize hydration. Right now, try LMNT's new limited-time lemonade salt. It's salty, it's tart, and refreshing. It's perfect for summer, whether you're hiking, hitting the gym, or just cooling off. Get a free sample pack with any purchase through my custom link. That's drinklmnt.com/Jason Grubb. drinklmnt.com/Jason Grubb. And remember, LMNT offers a no questions asked refund if you're not satisfied. Stay salty, stay hydrated. When I think back to when I first qualified for the CrossFit Games in 2018, I was really lean. Really lean. I weighed about 187 pounds at the time. And when I see pictures of me at that time, man, I am ripped. I've always had a layer of abs, but they were very, very apparent, veins. I was really thin for this body. And it didn't matter. I was just so excited that I qualified for the games. I didn't know a whole lot about feeding myself for performance at the time. I just felt like I got lucky and I made it to the games. And when I went there, I did okay in most of the events, but I took a 17th or 18th out of 20 in a heavy snatch event. And I got the same 18th, 19th place or something in a heavy jerk event. So with heavier weights, I was just not even, on par at all in that event. I did well on gymnastics. I had decent endurance. That all made sense given my background and my body style at the time. But when it came to the heavy stuff, I just didn't have it. Fast forward to 2019, I qualified for the games again. And I'm still fairly lean, but I've gained a little bit of weight. I'm probably 192 pounds. That's just from eating more. I discovered that when I ate more and I fueled my body more appropriately, I performed better and I felt better. Gosh, I slept better, all of those things. So I did qualify for the games in 2019. And fortunately, there was not a heavy lift event. I still wasn't quite there on lifting heavy, but I won the games. And I thought that year that I was lucky that I won. I was very fit and I did, given the tests, win the CrossFit Games. And that's great. 2020 was COVID. I did gain a couple of pounds in COVID when I discovered at one point, like my weight belt didn't fit the way it used to fit. And so I actually changed my diet a little bit. I was eating like a bag of Cheetos every night during COVID. I mean, who wasn't, right? If you know my story, I was drinking so much wine during COVID, stopped drinking completely, but I was really, really deep into having a lot of wine, 3, 4 glasses a night during that time, gotten into really, really bad habits. And we move into 2021, where the CrossFit Games resume for masters athletes. Now I'm a little bit bigger athlete. I weigh about 197 pounds. Some of that is muscle growth, certainly. And we can attribute that to hard work. I never stopped working hard. I was fueling myself, sometimes overfueling myself. A slight caloric surplus, not necessarily intentionally, just was kind of what was going on. But I was heavier. And 2021, I won the games again. And that's where I felt like, given the tests, I did as well as I could. It was an amazing experience. In fact, that year, I won every event except for the snatch event. But during the snatch event, which just wasn't my strength at the time, my goal was to hit a certain weight, and I executed perfectly on the floor, and I got exactly what I wanted to get. I got 10th place out of 20 athletes. I won every other event. I took 9th place in the swim because I got scared in the lake, just got scared. And that had nothing to do with my fitness. It was more psychology. But I went from, basically last place in a snatch event to middle of the pack. And that felt pretty good. We fast forward to 2022. I win the games again. And now we have these well-rounded tests. There's heavy work. There's long work. There's gymnastics work. I'm winning gymnastics events, even though I'm even heavier in 2022. I'm probably just about 200 pounds in 2022. So I gained, somewhere around 13 to 15 maybe pounds. Again, these are rough numbers. I don't have the exact numbers between 2018 and 2022. And my body does look different. Like you can see that there's a thickness to me. 2023. Another well-rounded test that actually started with 1 rep max clean and jerk, 1 rep max snatch, and I didn't lose that event. In fact, it was a really good event for me. I think I was top 6, maybe. All of those things are getting better, and I'm still winning the endurance events, the grindy events, the gymnastics events. As I got heavier, I got better at this sport. 2024, again, same situation. I am my heaviest that I've ever been, the oldest that I've ever been. I'm 4 years in this age group, and I win again. I'm not saying all that to brag. I'm just saying that for me, I take my shirt off, and I see a guy that just doesn't look like, Brent Fikowski. That guy, Brent, just chiseled human being. And he's a good guy. He's a friend. And I don't look like them. It makes me feel like an old guy. It makes me feel like a fat guy. And I still see that. I still think that. I look on the scale now and I weigh 206 pounds. And that scares me. Am I getting too heavy for this? What's up? Do I need to go on a diet? To cut my calories? And I found that if I wanted to aesthetically look absolutely amazing, I'm probably going to be 190 pounds and I'm going to look chiseled. And it would be great, but that is not best for me for performance. And I guess when it comes down to it, I'm not here for photo shoots and I'm not entering a bodybuilding competition. I'm here to win titles if I can, for as long as I can. I very much love doing that. And if this slightly bigger body is the vehicle that helps me do that, so be it. And that's something that I am growing to accept. This is not something I've completely accepted yet. I want to look like a superhero, but I might just be a 49-year-old CrossFit athlete chasing a title in this body. That's something I wanted to share. I don't have teaching points to this one. There's not 5 steps to get your perfect body or anything like that. It's just something I wanted to share about my story, my thoughts, my internal struggles, my internal vulnerabilities. And I appreciate you making it this far in the video. If you've shared an experience like this, or if you want to share anything in the comments, I love responding to comments. And as always, and I believe this, your best days are ahead of you. Fortune favors the bold. See you next week.